Hi team, in this video I want to go over part 2 of App 2, which is creating a questionnaire that you will use for your projects. Now, the first step in that is identifying your variables, so that variable table. I'm not going to go over levels of variables in this video, but I am going to post a podcast, which I usually use as an exam review, but we'll go over that as well if you need that help. So once we've identified our variables, then we use our questionnaire to measure those variables. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to then look at a blank sheet of paper, but it won't be blank for long. Okay, so let's say, so I'm interested in sense community. You guys know that. So let's say I want to know if participation in a tour that goes underwater basket weaving enhances sense community. Okay, so first I identify my variables. We know the sense of community here is, sorry, I didn't set up a table, but it's my outcome variable. Okay, and we know, well, let me rephrase that. So we've got a couple options for, we said participation in a tour of underwater basket weaving. So we could do that participation in tour as a predictor. Now, if that's just a did you go or not, that's nominal. Okay. Or we could ask something like number of hours underwater basket weaving as a predictor, in which case that is now ratio actually. Okay. Since community, we're going to measure the scale, so that's going to be interval. Now, okay, let's start with participation in a tour. Okay, so how are we going to measure that? In the last 12 months, have you participated in underwater basket weaving tour? This font is bothering me. Sorry. Picky things, but Calibria is not professional font. Okay. Yes, no, right. And I will say, like, I'm not going to super format this professionally right now, but you should. Okay, so that's measuring our variable. Did they participate? Okay, if we want to measure number of hours in the past 12 months, approximately, how many hours have you spent in underwater basket weaving? Okay, we could give options. We can leave that as fill in the blank. Lots of ways to do that, but that's going to measure that. Now, since community is the more, I'd say, potentially difficult one here, you could ask this, when participating in underwater basket weaving, did you feel a sense of community? You may recall we talked about how psychological constructs can be difficult to measure with one item. So really, there's probably a lot of things that go into sense community. And what I encourage you to do is once you identify your variables, to do a quick Google search, sense community scale. Okay, you probably find a couple, particularly if you're in the library, which you should be. And so I can tell you that there's lots of measures out there that measure sense community. I tend to use an 8-item one. And then, so that looks something like this. In the following questions, think about the community of people you interact with as a result of your participation in underwater basket weaving. Okay. And then I remember the prompt. I don't remember the items off the top of my head. And then you would say, please write your agreement with the following statements. 1 equals strongly disagree, 5 equals strongly agree. Again, you're going to make this look professional. I have influence over what happens in this community. My needs are met by being part of this community. Okay. etc. 8 items. Okay, so if I take that, I've got those 8 items. I've got this one, so it's 9, 10 on my questionnaire. Then I probably want to finish with some demographics, so gender, race and ethnicity, marital status, household income. You don't have to answer all these or ask all these. I'm just giving you ideas. Okay, employment status, education level. These are kind of the standard ones. Okay, sometimes I ask number of kids. Okay, under 18. Okay, so that's how that works. So you identify your variables. Okay, once you've done that, and that's a key part, right? You just write items that measure those variables, and then so I didn't put numbers around these, but that's 1, 2. This is 3. So I can't seem to spell interval. Measurement number 1. Actually, sorry, sense community. Measurement number 3. Observation tour number 1. And measurement number 2. Okay, that's how that works. So what I'm going to ask you to do, it's going to be extra credit. Yay! Now it's required extra credit. I guess that's a little weird. Because nobody was perfect on your survey. So I want you to create that. I want you to create that in the format you're going to give it out. So if you're going to distribute that electronically, you may use Google Forms, Qualtrics, whatever you choose to use, and then submit that as a extra credit assignment. If you do use Google Forms, what I'm going to also ask you to do is you give me edit privileges, because I'm going to give you however many extra points you earn based on this. And then I'm going to make your final edits so it's perfect to go out. Okay, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Stop share. And now, have a great day.